This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. For the first time this year, I believe, I'm joined by Adam Smith. Kind of having boring Januaries, but you just said it's starting to get busy for yourself now. And February certainly will be busy, especially for yourself and Sky Sports. But how have you been, Adam?
I've been well, thanks, Umar. Good to see you. I hope you had a nice festive period. Happy New Year. I know it's a bit belated now. I did a lot of the darts over Christmas, so I was at Ali Pally and enjoying that. That was great fun. But there's so much boxing going on and plenty behind the scenes at the moment. Things spinning, plates, as we know, the heavyweight division. Where's all that going to land? And for us, I'm really, really excited because I think this is the best start to a new year I can remember. I mean, we've had issues, obviously, with the Eubank Williams fight being delayed, the Josh Taylor fight being delayed, and obviously with the Wales restrictions as well. But now everything's sort of lifted and there's a green light for go. Our February looks absolutely fantastic. And I'm just really pleased that the fighters are getting together and delivering three absolute cracking nights of action. February the 5th, obviously Eubank and Williams, the bitter rivalry there. February the 19th, the long-awaited, much-anticipated duel between Amir Khan and Kell Brook finally comes to a conclusion after so long of waiting. And then a week later, we're in Glasgow for the homecoming of a fighter that I just have so much respect for in Josh Taylor. I think he's one of the unsung heroes of world boxing, not just British boxing. And I'm really pleased that he's with us, that he's going to have a packed out, Scottish fan base on the 26th of February, and in with an unbeaten fighter and a very hungry one and a very good one in Jack Catterall. So, that's just the main events, and then there's huge amounts on the cards as well. So it's really, really exciting. It's a fabulous February, a fantastic February, and it's one that we're really going to get our teeth into in the build-up over the next few weeks and hopefully deliver some monstrous action.
Adam, it must be very pleasing when you look at your February schedule. I mean, to only have one of them, we'd be really lucky in 1 month. But to get Eubank Williams and Taylor Catterall normal Sky, and then, of course, Khan Brook on box office within the same month, is that the strongest Sky month you can remember in a long time?
I mean, I'd have to go right back. We've been doing this a long time. I walked into the Sky buildings in 1994 at the beginning of the Chris Eubank Senior World Tour, and now we're sort of quite a long way into Junior's career. It's been a huge ride at Sky, and I mean, there's been some fantastic years, obviously through boxing, through our relationships with Frank Warren, Frank Maloney, Mick Hennessy, Ricky Hatton, and of course Matchroom and Eddie. And we've had some phenomenal times, months, years, obviously. So I don't know. I mean, going back through history, it's difficult to sort of compare. But I think for where we are now and where we've come from, since the spring, summer when I started working with Ben Shalom, and we've worked day in, day out, and he's built a really good stable in a very short space of time. We've worked particularly hard on it to get to select fighters and a real great mix of men and women. And we're really happy with where we are, but this is a long journey. It's a progress. It's something that we're not in a rush for. Obviously, Eddie's doing his thing on DAZN with a huge amount of fighters. Frank's doing his thing on BT, and there's huge amounts of competition around now. And I think what we've got to do is just concentrate on giving our Sky customers the best value and the best entertainment. And obviously we've got a huge amount, a plethora of sports. The Premier League is just a massive thing for us. Formula One, phenomenal, sort of finished to last season, beginning the new season in a few weeks' time. The cricket, the golf, there's so much going on at Sky. Obviously, as I said at the beginning, the World Darts 2 and the Premier League kicks off, ironically, in Cardiff on the 3rd of February, just 2 days before we're there for the boxing. So there's a masses of action on Sky Sports generally. But I think as far as boxing goes, it's always been a mainstay on Sky year in, year out. We've always delivered what we can. And I think at the moment we're in a really good place. We're ready to attack. Ben and I have been doing a lot of work sort of behind the scenes. The teams are really uniting now, Boxer and Sky working together. And I think that's important. And there's a sort of fresh feel, there's a new vibe. And, as I said, we haven't got everything. We haven't got all the fighters. We can't. But what we have done is, I think, got a really good set of fighters, which will keep building. And also, we've managed to get these great fights lined up for February, and it's all fallen in a sort of single month, in a 3 to 4 week period, and it's really, really exciting. I think any of those fights, I think I was looking at Boxing News and they said the 10 best British fights you want to see, and all 3 of them are on there. And I mean, Khan Brook is something we hoped to get 5-6 years ago. We've got them together now. It's fantastic. No one knows who's going to win. It's they're both in deep training. There's so much pride on the line. It's the fight that everybody wants to see. It's going to be an absolute humdinger in Manchester. And then to sort of sandwich that with 2 fantastic Sky Sports nights, giving real value for the customer. And I think that's important for the fight fans. And we've got not only Eubank and Liam Williams in Cardiff, but we're supported by Clarissa Shields, one of the greatest out there, and men or women. She's phenomenal. So she's going to be defending her titles against the unbeaten Emma Kozin, and that's a wonderful chief support. And Caroline Dubois, who we have such high hopes for, the young former Olympian, obviously Daniel's sister, and she's so talented. And she was going to make her pro debut in November, but that got delayed. So she starts her campaign on February the 5th. And then you look to Manchester, and we've got Fraser Clark beginning his professional journey. And we're really, really, really excited about Fraser, not just what he can do in the ring, because he's proved himself as a top amateur, Team GB captain, medalist in Tokyo, and all the other sort of great accolades he's got, but also outside of the ring. He's such a great guy. He's such a people person. He's a team leader, really. And I think that with him and with Tasha Jonas as well on the female side, you've almost got 2 team captains there to bring up some of the young that we've got, fantastic hopes for in Manchester. We're going to see the Azim brothers again, which is brilliant. You've got the likes of Ebony Jones coming through and Corey Gibbs on the Glasgow show on February the 26th. So there's a real stacked, cards underneath the main events. And yeah, look, we all know what boxing's like. Things can change, but ultimately, if everything stands up, everything stays together, I think February 2022 has got to be one of the strongest months we've ever had in Sky Boxing history. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. I hope everyone out there is looking forward to it as well, because we're going to put everything we can into every one of the events. Obviously, there's a bit of sparkle around the box office week in Manchester with Khan and Brook. That's such an epic story, adventure, journey, which needs a conclusion. But also, Eubank Williams as a standalone fight, Taylor Cattrall as a standalone fight for all the super lightweight treasure. It's just mouthwatering, Umar, and we don't get many months like this, so let's enjoy it, and we'll work really, really hard to deliver the best we can on our side of the ropes.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Of course, we've got to soak up every moment of February because, as you said, the 3 fights, they're fantastic fights. Going to be big occasions, in their own right, each of them. But for Sky, how do you kind of move on to March, April, May, and back up such an amazing February?
Yeah, there's always peaks and troughs, isn't there? The sort of highs and lows in this sport. We've been around it a long time, you and I. And I think that we can't have a massive show every week or every couple of weeks. We know that. And I think there's also times, we need another tournament show, for example. That was a real success in Liverpool. And I think that, we'll be having plans to get another tournament show out fairly quickly after this sort of February almost back to back, heavy stuff. But also we'll see where the heavyweights land as well. And we've got plans, obviously, for the youngsters. I haven't mentioned the likes of Richard Riakporhe and Hughie Fury. I mentioned Tasha briefly. There's loads of others as well in the stable. And I think that there's an opportunity to really build these young Olympians, these young Azim brothers, the stars of tomorrow, Georgia O'Connor, April Hunter, and of course, Savannah Marshall up in Newcastle. And she'll be, I'm sure, around the Clarissa Shields night in Cardiff. And so to get her out, hopefully in Newcastle soon as well. So I'm sure there are many things we're working on behind the scenes at the moment, but just waiting to see sort of how things land, particularly that heavyweight, cycle of what is going to happen. Will AJ and Usyk meet again, and Fury and White go ahead? Purse bids keep being delayed. There's no one today. Is that going to go back again? What is happening? Is it going to be
Gone
Fury,
back again, Adam? Yeah.
Both they have now already. See, it's happening every 5 minutes, isn't it? And I think, that's the thing. you know, how's that going to land? You know, is it going to end up being the undisputed championship between, you know, Usyk and Fury, and the other two get paid to step aside, that's being rumored? Or will AJ get that rematch with Usyk? And what about AJ's new trainer and Dillian? He's waited so long, and the mandatory position. There's so many balls in the air at the moment. I think what we know is whatever happens in that heavyweight mix, there's going to be some great fights to look forward to this year. But while that's all sort of, you know, unraveling or taking place, we just got to crack on. And I think what we do have is the most powerful start to a year, and I'm really excited. And I know Eddie and DAZN have put a huge sort of schedule together for the next 3 months, and we'll be watching that. We'll be keeping an eye on that, and obviously Frank will be putting plenty on BT. But on Sky, you know, we're really happy with what we've got. And as I said, we can't have everything. We've never been able to have everything. It's boxing, but we've got some really, really interesting fights with some great characters. And as you said, you know, each one in their own city is an important event. So Wales, the Lions Den for Chris Eubank Jr., the huge support for Liam Williams, the Welsh fighters on the card. Hopefully Joe Calzaghe will be involved. And it'd be really good to go back down to Cardiff, because we've got a great history with Welsh boxing. And then, you know, Manchester, what an arena, you know, probably the best in Britain for boxing as an indoor arena. There's so many stories that have happened in Manchester. Just thinking about Amir Khan, and when he got, you know, taken out by Bradis Prescott, and then he won the world title, 11 months later in the same venue, and all the amazing nights that we've had in Manchester, and that was sold out. I think it was 120,000 people waiting for 20,000 tickets. So the atmosphere in the whole week in that city is going to be phenomenal. And then, you know, as for Scotland, you know, the Josh Taylor fans who will be out at the Hydra in Glasgow in the end of February. I mean, the noise and the passion there. And we've again got a great relationship with Scottish boxing over the years, you know, with the likes of your Gary Jacobs and your Scott Harrisons and Alex Arthurs and, you know, Ricky Burns, and so many that we've had the pleasure of covering. And there's always a special night about the cauldron of a Scottish atmosphere, and it's fantastic. I can't wait for each of the occasions. And you know, fingers crossed everything holds together. And you know, February's we've got the green light and we're ready to go.
Now, I know this is not really a question for you. This is more for the promoters in terms of Boxer and Ben Shalom. But I'm just going to ask you, as a fan, what your take on it is. So we believe in Eubank Jr. and Williams and Khan Brook, there are rematch clauses for both fights. Of course, both non-title fights. What do you think about that, Adam?
Look, I think the most important thing is to concentrate on the fights as they are. You know, we've waited a long time for Chris Eubank Jr. to be in this sort of a fight. Liam Williams has got a massive opportunity in Wales. Listen, if it's a great fight, I always say, if they're great fights, let's do it again. There's nothing quite like rematches, trilogies in boxing. But, you know, the fighters have got to make sure that they get it right on this night. That's the most important thing. So let's see how it unfolds. I'm not interested in rematches until I've seen the first event, really. Obviously, you know, with AJ and Usyk, what happened, and AJ losing his titles, and there is a rematch there, and you think, okay, it's AJ's chance to go back like he did with Andy Ruiz. So there's obvious reasons why rematch clauses are put in. But I think for this, I think we should concentrate on what we've got. February the 5th is Eubank Williams, a great fight. It should be. It is on paper. Styles should gel beautifully. Let's see what happens. Let's see it unfold. Is it going to be a dramatic win for one or the other? And then are they going to want, you know, a world title next? Or are we going to, you know, have a narrative, have a longer narrative? And I think with Khan and Brook, it's taken them so long to get together. I always said with Mayweather Pacquiao, that happened 5 years too late. We could have had a trilogy before that actually happened, which was a real shame. And Khan Brook has happened later on in their careers. They finally got together. But if it's a fantastic fight, of course, we're going to want to see it again. And there could be, like Froch Groves, that sort of story that, especially as there's that grudge there, that bitter rivalry. So there's two sets of fighters who don't like each other. And if they give us terrific fights, then let's talk rematches. I think that's important, and I think we should just enjoy the events as they come, and then let's see what happens down the line. Because I can tell you that each one of the fighters that I've spoken to, all the main event fighters, are just concentrating on February the 5th, on February the 19th, on February the 26th. You know, you try and talk to Josh Taylor about all these amazing fights that could be out there for him, and the only thing that's on his mind is how to deal with Jack Catterall. It's a professional way of going about it, and it's the right way. You know, there's too many banana skins, there's too many slip-ups in boxing. You know, I think that they're all hardened professionals, these guys, and they know what they're doing. So I think let's concentrate on the single nights, and then let's look maybe towards the spring and summer, if any are, you know, absolute classics, epic fights, or controversial, or need a rematch. Let's cover that one then, you know, on February the 6th, on February the 20th, on February the 27th.
Well, listen, we look forward to Feb 5th, Feb 19th, Feb 26th. Get your tickets, but if you can't, watch it on Sky Sports. Look forward to a fantastic month. Adam, just before we close off, we'll get your take on heavyweight division. As you said, it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit confusing at the moment. So
you know more than I do. I mean, you've been on your phone sort of more. I haven't been on my phone for 10 minutes. It's already changed. You tell me, Umar, what's going to happen? I can't wait to find out.
Well, so the situation with the purse bids for Fury White, they keep getting delayed because Team White are essentially arguing the 80-20 purse split. They're saying that can't be the case. Eddie's given us reasons why he believes it should be 60-40, 55-45. Obviously, Frank and Bob are saying it should be 80-20. What was your reaction when you saw the purse split would be 80-20 for Fury White?
I seem to remember a situation with Froch and Groves a few years ago, quite similar. It's not my place to comment on what I think the right split should be between two great fighters. You know, Tyson Fury is, as you know, my opinion, is the #1 heavyweight in the world, and I think that he obviously deserves, you know, the lion's share. Dillian White's been waiting a long time for his opportunity, and in my view, too long to fight for a world title. So he deserves, you know, huge pay as well. So that's not my job. You know, my job is a broadcaster and putting on the best we can for Sky. Would I like to see the Fury White fight? Yes. Would I like to see AJ Usyk too? Yes. Would I like to see Fury Usyk? Yes. Would I like to see AJ White? Yes. They're all great fights that all have different stories. I think it is important to try and unify the division in this era, because there's some, you know, great matches to be made, and it'd be incredible if one guy could hold all 4 belts. I think we also have to get AJ Fury made at some stage, and hopefully not too much longer down the line, because that is the fight that the British public want to see. Let's be honest about that. But I think Tyson Fury and Dillian White is a fight that should happen, because, you know, Dillian's waited a long time, and I think if they can't make the Usyk fight now, Fury, and if AJ is going to fight Usyk, then we do have a Fury White fight. I don't know. Look, you know, that's for them to work out the splits, whether they think it should be more a 70-30 or something like that. I don't know. But 80-20 is what's been deemed. It's up to the different promoters, and I'm sure Bob and Todd and Frank and everyone are working very closely together on the Fury side, and they'll work out with Team White what's what. And also, we know that there is this speculation of the Usyk and Fury match happening sooner rather than later, and reports about step-aside money and all of that. So, as always, it's a fascinating world, isn't it, the heavyweights? But, you know, I was at the Arsenal-Liverpool game last night, and I was talking to people, and they just want to see either AJ Fury or Usyk Fury. They want to see the belts unified. They want to see AJ Fury. It's a fight they've waited for, that we've waited for Khan and Brook for so long. And I think we were so close last year that I hope that's not too far down the line. But there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of money, and there's some really good fighters there and fights. And let's not forget Deontay Wilder in all of this as well. You know, there's Andy Ruiz on the comeback trail too. There's many others, and our own Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois has got to come again, and Fraser Clark hopes to be in the mix in 2 or 3 years' time. It's a fantastic division, always has been, but it's particularly special at the moment because there's so much British interest. I, for one, hope Dillian gets his opportunity. But look, if it ends up being Fury and Usyk, who's to argue for the undisputed title? Then who's to argue if AJ and Usyk get that rematch, which is obviously a fascinating one? Can AJ try and exact revenge when he had such a difficult night at Spurs last time? And, you know, for Tyson Fury, you can almost pick and choose because he's sort of the man at the moment. So I just hope we come to a conclusion, you know, and we know where the balls sort of drop in the next week or two, so we can all sort of look forward to events this year.
Well, if purse bids do go ahead whenever they commence, how much would you love Fury White to end up on Sky Sports box office?
Look, I'd always like, you know, the big fights to come onto Sky. Of course, you know, the team live for this. You know, we're passionate fight fans, and, you know, we want to do the best. And obviously, we've worked with Dillian Whyte for many years. We worked with Tyson Fury in the earlier days a lot. Obviously, we were there for Germany for the Klitschko fight. We've missed Tyson and we've had to watch from afar, but he's done a great job, and Frank and Bob have done a phenomenal job with Tyson, and some amazing fights. The trilogy, I was there for the second one. It was one of the great performances, I thought, by a British fighter on home soil, on away soil, sorry, with Tyson's performance in the second fight. And then the third fight was one of the great heavyweight fights. We can't say how much would I love to have be involved in Fury and Whyte, obviously very much so. And if we're not broadcasting it, will be all eyes glued to it, of course. We have to look at the business side of any decisions are made. But as a fan, would I love to be involved in that fight or any of these fights? Of course,
Definitely. My last question to you is, of course, it's gone quite quiet on this rematch between Alexander and Joshua. That is what we expect next. Again, where are we with Joshua's TV situation? Probably can't say much, Adam, but I always do ask you, where are we with that?
It was just the line was just breaking up.
The line was just breaking up. Yeah, I think we're
getting some reverberation here. I think you asked me about AJ's TV situation. Look, we've been with Anthony Joshua from the moment he turned professional. We've got a fantastic relationship. We always have had. It works both ways. I think we've both been excellent for each other. I've always said I'm very, very confident that we'll continue that. Very, very confident. Hopefully for the rest of his career. So, we're working on that behind the scenes, obviously, but we'll make a comment when it's right. Let's hope we move forward with Anthony, but obviously we have to wait also and see what's happening with the heavyweight situation, who is actually fighting who. But as far as would we want Anthony Joshua to continue representing us 100%, and we'll be working very, very hard to ensure that happens.
Well, Adam, I appreciate your time this morning. I'll see you in Cardiff on Fight Week for a huge occasion with Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams. I'll see you there. Thank you very much, Adam.
Look forward to it, Umar.
Look forward.